I'm here today to show you guys how all the products that we use at USA Hemp, how they're made and manufactured, where the original oil gets sourced from. Here today, we're inside of a pharmaceutical grade facility, and I'm showing you each step of the process. The very first stage in the process is they're gonna bring in the highest quality hemp flower available in the market. Once it comes in, they inspect it, they weigh it, and they assign it a unique identifier number to follow it with each step of the process moving forward. After it's assigned its unique identifier, we move forward over here. These are the vessels that will eventually go into the extraction machine. At this point, they've got unique identifiers for each vessel. They know how much exactly each one weighs. They're gonna fill it up with flour, they'll weigh it again, they're gonna log that number down, and it's gonna move forward to the next stage in the process. A lot of people don't realize the amount of work and the science that goes into extracting the oils to be able to create a high quality product. After they've data logged and weighed the product that comes in through the door back there, they're gonna bring in those extraction vessels over here. They'll use large overhead cranes to be able to lift these heavy vessels and set them into the extraction chamber. Now, whenever they get it into the extraction chamber, they're fitting about 45 to 60 kilos of flour inside of each extraction chamber. And what they do essentially is they fill up this entire machine with flour, and they're gonna start circulating CO2 gas throughout the system. Basically, the way that this works is CO2 has different phases. Whenever we're in CO2 supercritical phase, CO2 actually becomes a solvent, and it starts picking up CBD and all these other cannabinoids that are wonderful that we want in the flower. When that happens, the CO2 is becoming an extracting solvent. We have to then transfer into a separate, smaller vessel where we lower the temperature, we lower the pressures so we can separate out the CO2 and the CBD. Whenever that happens, all the good stuff that we want will be collected inside of this smaller separation vessel. And inside of the bigger vessel will become just flour that's been extracted of all the cannabinoids and CBD we want out of it. This process will continue and will circulate the CO2 throughout the system for about 1 to 2 hours until all of the extraction has been completed and there's no more CBD left to pull from the material. Once that has happened, the material will be pulled out and it'll be recycled for further use. After the CBD extraction process has happened, the CO2 has picked up all the CBD from our extraction material and it's separated out into a concentrated form. Now, because of the high temperature and pressures that the CO2 extraction equipment works in, it also picks up other stuff that we don't necessarily want, like fats and waxes that are naturally occurring in the hemp plant. Because of that, it looks like to be a little bit different than the product you're used to seeing, and that's what we call the crude oil. That goodness that has everything included in it that comes out of this machine over here. After this crude oil has been extracted, it will go to a different stage for further refining and filtration, where we'll remove all the fats and waxes, lipids, and other stuff that we don't necessarily need in our natural medicine. The equipment that you're seeing inside of here is pharmaceutical grade equipment, and this is what allows USA Hemp to have the highest quality products in the market. It all begins right here inside the lab. This is what sets us apart from all the other competition out there. USA Hemp knows that not everybody can have THC in their products. That's why we use pharmaceutical grade technology to be able to separate molecules based on their boiling point. This machine here behind me allows us to be specific about which cannabinoids we want in our product, and we can superheat them, evaporate them, separate them from everything else, and condense them separately so we can utilize only the stuff we want in our medicine and none of the stuff we can't have in our medicine. That's why when you buy from USA Hemp products, you know you can expect to get exactly what's on the label and nothing more. Down here you'll see on the right side, as this oil comes inside of here, it's heated to the boiling point. It's wiped in a thin film around the outside of this column where it's being superheated from the outside. Based on the boiling point of the gases, we start picking up different vapors, which are then cooled and condensed back down to become an oil. All the stuff we want comes out in the middle here as a nice clear oil. Anything that we don't want gets evaporated and separated onto the right side over here where you see darker oil. Anything that gets picked up and carried away that doesn't condense at first, then gets pulled down in a cold trap where it's gonna condense here separately on the left. Because of the high temperature and pressures used in CO2 extraction, some unwanted fats, lipids, waxes, and other natural occurring chemicals also get pulled out with the CO2 extract. This stage of the process here is where the filtration of that happens. The very first thing they do is they put it in stainless steel vessels. This facility doesn't use any plastic vessels to avoid leaching of plastic into oils. And then they'll bring in the material where they'll dilute it down with ethanol and heat it up and mix it inside of these stainless steel vessels. After the material has been diluted to a predetermined rate, it then moves forward where they'll stick it into a cryogenic freezer and freeze it at -40 degrees Celsius for over 24 hours. Once that material has stayed inside of the freezer, it now has become what we call winterized material. The winterization step allows us to be able to separate out the fats, waxes, lipids from the CBD oil. After the winterization process has happened, the material is taken quickly while it's still frozen and it moves towards a filtration. Inside of filtration, the material will go through roughly 5 to 10 micron filters where it will pull out all the fats, waxes, lipids, and any other impurities that we don't want in the material, including naturally occurring chlorophyll in the plant material. All that stuff will be left behind in the filter, and what you'll get from underneath of it is just pure CBD oil with some ethanol, which will then move forward to the next stage of the process where we'll separate out the ethanol and the CBD product.